Solely on yours. Oh.
Hey, witches.
Hi, hello. Welcome back to another true crime slash shadowed past kind of episode.
Yeah, so just an update. Riverside, the that we used to record on has updated. So things are a little wonky. That's why that's why that intro was a little wonky. It's fine. What
Yeah,
the fuck was that? Something just happened with my chair.
it's your chocolate thing.
Anyway, okay. So, this one it's kind of it depends on who you ask, which historians you ask, but I chose this specific story in honor of Pride Month. We'll get into that more later and you'll understand why I chose this one later. But we're going back to London, summer of 1865.
Oh,
Way back. We are in the British Empire's um motherfucker. One of the British Empire's most respected military surgeons has just died. He
wow.
served around the world. He reformed military hospitals. He fought epidemics. He challenged corruption in the military, and really performed some groundbreaking surgeries and advanced medicine field medicine at the time. This man was Dr. James Barry. After his death, a shocking discovery was made. This doctor, who spent more than half a century living as a man practicing medicine, was assigned female at birth. Um,
No wonder reform happened.
dude, scandal. This was scandalous. Victorian Britain was in an uproar.
Isn't this like
Um,
the time too that like Bridgerton would be set in?
yeah. Yeah, because
Maybe
this is
not like
Victorian. Maybe a little bit before that, but yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Um, but yeah, so newspapers are going crazy, rumors are spreading, and historians have debated his life ever since. Um, so we're gonna dive into his story. To understand him, we kind of first have to understand the world that he was born into. Um, the late 18th and early 19th centuries were not a place where a woman could have a professional career like a doctor. Universities generally excluded women, medical schools absolutely excluded women. The British Army, what's a woman? Okay. They did not women were not included. So any woman who had ambitions to become a doctor was going to be disappointed basically. Um Around 1789 in Cork, Ireland, a child named Margaret Ann Bulkley was born into a family experiencing extreme financial difficulties. Um, Margaret was extremely intelligent. She was ambitious, but opportunities for women, like we said, were basically non existent. You can be a wife or a wife. Um, she had an uncle named, who was an artist named James Barry. Um, and after he died, the family became connected with influential intellectuals and political figures. And at some point, Margaret Bulkley disappeared, and a young man named James Barry appeared. Who devised this plan is unclear, like whether this was her plan that she came up with on her own or whether her family helped her. That's unclear, but what is clear is that it worked. Um, in 1809, James Barry enrolled at the University of Edinburgh Medical School, which was at the time one of the most prestigious medical institutions in the world. Um, People definitely noticed that Barry was a bit unusual. He was small in stature, slight build, high voice, very youthful looking. Um, and a lot of people just thought that he was too young to be a doctor or to be a medical student. Um, but suspicion and doubt do not equate to proof. So Barry went to college. He graduated in 1812 with a medical degree, and then joined the army as a surgeon, the British Army as a surgeon. Um, so now not only has he gone through medical school in a disguise, um, but now he's going into the military. Um, and military life, especially at this time period, was not known for respecting people's privacy. Somehow, though, Barry managed it. Um, and it's even more impressive, I think, that he managed it because Barry was not a quiet young doctor trying to avoid attention. He was famous for having a fierce temper, arguing with his colleagues, challenging his superiors, insulting officials. He even started a duel or like fought in a duel. um, he kind of had like a legendary personality. Um, Mainly because he was committed to reform. During the 19th century, hospitals were filthy, infection was rampant because knowledge about it was limited. A lot of soldiers died more from disease or infection than from actual battle wounds. As we both know, and anybody in the special education world or in that kind of history knows, asylums at the time were horrific. They were just awful places. And Barry was constantly pushing for better sanitation, better nutrition, improved water supply, better treatment of prisoners. Um, and this frequently put him in conflict with authorities, but that didn't stop him. One contemporary or name that you're going to recognize who famously disliked Barry was Florence Nightingale. Um,
Nice.
yeah, didn't get along with her. So,
Which is crazy because she's like the mother of nursing.
yeah. But also at the time, like, I feel like being so passionate about what you do and having someone come in and being like, hey, this is wrong, would probably
Mhm.
piss a person off. So if that's how he came at her, I can understand it. Um, so Barry has a pretty famous medical achievement.
Ugh.
This occurred in Cape Town, South Africa. At this time, childbirth was extraordinarily dangerous. Like, I mean, I guess it is now too, at least in America, but in this time in Cape Town, South Africa, childbirth was extremely dangerous. C-sections were often fatal. Um, Without modern anesthesia, antibiotics, blood transfusions, sterile operating rooms, survival was not likely. Um, However, Barry performed what became known as the first recorded C-section by a European surgeon in Africa in which both mother and child survived. Apparently, the operation was so successful and the family was so grateful that the child reportedly received the middle name Barry. This accomplishment alone secured Barry a place in medical history, um, but his impact went beyond surgery. Um, While stationed in Cape Town, Barry worked to improve public health infrastructure, including advocating for a better waste system. Um, and another thing that was notable about him that pissed off people in power was that he treated everyone alike. So he treated slaves the same way he treated wealthy colonists. He treated them the same as soldiers, the same as peasants, the same as everybody was treated the same. Um, and that was like a notable thing about him. The crazy thing is, like, he's known. remembered the most and known the most, and even half the reason that I chose to talk about him today is because of his secret identity. Um, and I use quotes around that because, like, meh. Um, but he was an exceptionally capable physician. Like, that's why his name is known, because he's not the only trans person from that time. He's not the only one. But he made such an impact on history that the fact that he was also trans was a very important factor,
Mhm.
and it was actually cared about. Um Over the decades, he served throughout the British Empire. He traveled a lot to with his with the army and his surgeon career. He was worked in South Africa. Oh, I'm gonna pronounce that wrong. Mauritius, the Caribbean, Malta, and Canada. And wherever he went, his pattern repeated: find the problems, challenge authority, demand reform, make enemies, and do it anyway. We could kind of use some of that spirit now.
Listen,
um,
I know it can be controversial if this is a female dressing as a male or trans or whatever the fuck it is, but I tell you what, she be making moves. Whatever,
hmm
James,
yeah,
whoever, whatever your real identity is, I don't care. You be making
yeah,
moves.
absolutely. And so eventually, Barry rose to become the Inspector General of Hospitals, which is like one of the highest
Yes.
medical positions in the British Army. Um, And so this was a huge achievement, and by the late 1850s, Barry had become one of the most influential military doctors in the British Empire. Um, in 1859, it just says poor health. I don't know what illness, and maybe they didn't know, maybe it was an unknown illness at the time, but poor health forced Barry into retirement. Um, and 6 years later, in July 1865, Barry died in London. Before death, Barry reportedly requested that his body not be stripped or examined. True to form, those wishes were ignored. And during preparation for burial, the funeral attendants discovered that Barry had anatomy that was typically identified as female. The information spread like wildfire, with newspapers reporting the story. Victorian society, like I said earlier, was shocked. For more than 50 years, Barry had lived, worked, and been accepted professionally as a man, and now the public felt entitled to answers. Um,
Of course they
who
do.
had James Barry really been, and how had such a secret remained hidden for so long? Which pisses me off a little bit on his behalf because, like, first of all,
Who
it's none of your
cares?
business. Yeah,
It
first of all, it's none of your fucking business.
worked. It
Yeah,
happened. I don't give a
and
fuck
like
who you are.
he changed so much for the better. So why does it matter? Um,
It's
but
just, like, crazy to me because like, men from that time would be like, "Excuse me, my wife lived through childbirth. What the fuck? Why?
right,
Like, who are
right,
you, sir, to change all of this stuff that has changed not been a that's never been an issue?" It's like, "Bitch, your wife is alive, so is your child."
right. Like,
Like,
ugh,
half the time, women didn't survive childbirth, but the babies didn't either.
right. How dare a woman do what she had
Live.
to do to make positive change in the world? But
Yeah.
so, and this is where we come to like some debate, because he didn't say before his death, he just didn't want them to examine his body at all, which I will tell you my opinion after I tell you what some of the historians think. So some scholars interpret Barry as Margaret Bulkley, a woman who was forced to assume a male identity to obtain an education and practice medicine. Others point out that Barry lived a virtually entire adult life as a man, used male pronouns, pursued a male social role, and sought privacy regarding their physical anatomy even after death. I I agree with that one. I
Yeah.
like he didn't even want.
Hold up.
Yeah, what just happened?
I don't know. That's weird.
Anyway, he didn't even want people to know after
Oh,
his death that he was
it
a
was a
woman,
change in your device.
which makes no sense because nothing changed. But whatever. um,
Oh, your
he
webcam is your microphone.
oh, that's weird. Um,
Anyways.
he didn't want them to know even after his death that he was born female. So to me, that means that he was a male and that was his identity. Um, but because he didn't leave any like definitive um note saying I am a man or I am a woman, historians can't know for with certainty how he would describe himself today.
Hmm.
Um, but regardless, he challenged the rigid like social norms of the time and made huge advances and changes in medical history. Um, so that's why I chose this story for Pride Month because it's my personal opinion that this was a trans man um, who went through life. Even if it was a woman, she lived her entire life in drag, which is still pride. So Dr. James Barry's story is often told as a story about disguise, but maybe that's too simple an explanation. It's also a story about determination, about barriers to education, about medical innovation, about public health reform, and about a physician who spent a lifetime caring for patients while carrying an extraordinary secret. Whether remembered as Margaret Bulkley, James Barry, or both, the legacy remains remarkable. A brilliant surgeon, a fearless reformer, a medical pioneer, and one of history's most fascinating mysteries. That is the
Here,
story of
here.
Dr. James Barry, the surgeon who hid a secret for 56 years.
That's amazing. And here's the thing too, because it's like back at that time, like they didn't have gender reaffirming care.
Right.
Like you can't do that on yourself. So if anything, like he was a trans, he was a person who drug. Like it's not like he did this to. It wasn't like he led a double life and that was his double life. Like he led his adult life as this person. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm just thinking.
It's
I'm thinking
just,
of like nowadays it's a lot more complicated, and that's fine. Like modern times can require modern issues and complications.
yeah.
I feel like it was more simpler back. Not simpler, but like there's a lot less modern hiccups back then.
Yeah.
So
Either way, it's a crazy story and I was super excited I found it on Reddit. I don't remember. Hold on. I have pause. I do have where who posted it on Reddit. Um oh god. Nelia Finway Maitimo on Reddit is the one that posted. So, yeah. And I also have a couple of others that I'll probably cover in the future that I found when I was searching for this one. This was just the
uh
one that I liked the best for this month.
yeah, I like that.
So yeah,
Cool.
that is Dr. James Barry.
I love that. Okay. Well, join us next Saturday for another episode, and until next time.
Bye.